The forgotten backbone of WWE, Arn Anderson. Full documentary script. They called him the Enforcer, not because he screamed louder than everyone else, not because he had the biggest muscles, not because he wore outrageous outfits or demanded attention every time he entered an arena. Arn Anderson earned that name because when he stepped into a wrestling ring, everything suddenly felt real. In a business built on giants, superheroes, larger-than-life personalities, and impossible characters, Arn Anderson looked like the one man in the room who could actually hurt you. No wasted motion, no unnecessary talking, no cartoon behavior, just cold eyes, a dangerous spinebuster, and the feeling that this man belonged in every fight he entered. And somehow, despite decades of greatness, despite becoming one of the most respected performers wrestling has ever seen, despite helping shape generations of superstars behind the scenes, Arn Anderson never became the face of WWE. But maybe that was never his purpose, because every wrestling empire needs something stronger than a superstar. It needs structure, it needs leadership, it needs reliability, it needs men who hold everything together while everyone else chases the spotlight. It needs a backbone, and for decades, Arn Anderson was exactly that. Arn Anderson wasn't the kind of wrestler Vince McMahon usually pushed as the centerpiece of the company. He didn't look like Hulk Hogan. He didn't sound like Randy Savage. He didn't move like Shawn Michaels. And he didn't carry the flashy charisma of The Rock. But wrestling insiders understood something casual fans sometimes missed. Arn Anderson was one of the most important men the business ever produced, because while many wrestlers learned how to perform, Arn Anderson mastered how to make wrestling believable. That's far more difficult. Born Martin Anthony Lund in Rome, Georgia, Arn Anderson entered professional wrestling during one of the toughest periods in wrestling history. This was not the glamorous television era fans know today. This was the territory era. The schedules were brutal, the locker rooms were dangerous, and respect had to be earned the hard way. Young wrestlers traveled endlessly. Small towns, long drives, tiny paychecks, crowded locker rooms, violent audiences. If you couldn't survive mentally and physically, the business would destroy you. And Arn Anderson survived, not because he was flashy, because he was dependable. That trait would eventually become the foundation of his entire career. Very early in his wrestling journey, Arn understood something many performers never truly learned. Professional wrestling is not just about moves, it's about emotion. Fans don't remember every suplex. They don't remember every clothesline. They remember how wrestlers made them feel. And Arn Anderson made people feel tension. He made audiences uncomfortable. He made matches feel dangerous. He made violence feel believable. That authenticity became his greatest weapon. When Arn punched somebody, it looked painful. When Arn grabbed a microphone, it sounded serious. When Arn threatened someone, fans listened, because he never sounded like a man pretending to be tough. He sounded like a man who already was. That realism separated him from almost everyone else. By the mid-1980s, Arn Anderson became one of the defining figures of one of wrestling's most legendary factions, the Four Horsemen. Alongside Ric Flair, Tully Blanchard, and Ole Anderson, Arn helped create the blueprint for nearly every dominant wrestling faction that followed. Before the New, before Evolution, before the Shield, before the Bloodline, there were the Four Horsemen, and Arn Anderson was their enforcer. The Horsemen weren't just villains, they felt powerful, untouchable, dangerous. They carried themselves like elite athletes, mixed with organized crime. Ric Flair was the loud, charismatic world champion. Tully Blanchard was arrogant and vicious. But Arn felt like the man who made sure everything stayed under control, the calm killer, and that role fit him perfectly. Arn didn't need flashy catchphrases. He didn't need outrageous gimmicks. His presence alone created tension. Fans believed Arn Anderson could walk into a bar fight and leave standing. That believability became the secret ingredient behind the Four Horsemen's success, and it also revealed something that would define Arn's entire career. He made everyone around him better. Ric Flair became even more dangerous. Standing beside Arn, the Horsemen felt more intimidating because Arn was there. Tag teams became stronger because Arn understood tag psychology better than almost anyone alive. That ability to elevate others became Arn Anderson's hidden superpower, while other wrestlers chased fame. Arn quietly became the foundation beneath wrestling's biggest moments. And the dangerous thing about being reliable is that people eventually take you for granted. Arn Anderson became so consistently excellent that fans almost stopped noticing how difficult his job really was night after night. He delivered singles matches, tag matches, main events, promos, storyline segments. Didn't matter, Arn made it work. That's why promoters trusted him, because wrestling companies desperately need wrestlers they can depend on. A flashy superstar might sell tickets, but dependable wrestlers hold entire companies together, and Arn Anderson held wrestling together for years. Watch an Arn Anderson match today and something immediately stands out. Nothing is wasted. Every movement matters. Every punch means something. Every facial expression tells part of the story. Arn wrestled like a man solving a problem. No unnecessary acrobatics. No random movement. No empty spectacle. Everything had purpose. That's why wrestlers loved studying Arn Anderson. Not just fans. Wrestlers, some of the greatest performers in wrestling history, learned psychology from watching Arn because he understood the rhythm of wrestling better than almost anyone. He knew when to slow down. He knew when to explode. He knew how to build tension. He knew how to make crowds emotionally invest. And most importantly, he knew how to make his opponents look incredible. That is one of the hardest skills in professional wrestling. Many wrestlers know how to make themselves look good. Very few know how to make everyone around them look better. Arn Anderson mastered it. That's why he became known as a wrestler's wrestler. The respect he earned inside locker rooms became legendary. Veterans trusted him. Younger wrestlers listened to him. Promoters leaned on him because everybody understood one thing: Arn Anderson would never embarrass the business. That reputation is priceless, especially during wrestling's most chaotic years, during the late 1980s and early 1990s. Wrestling was changing rapidly. The business became more entertainment-driven. Characters became bigger. Television became more theatrical. And wrestling companies increasingly searched for larger-than-life stars. Yet somehow, Arn Anderson remained valuable through every era. Why? Because realism never goes out of style. Fans may enjoy spectacle, but deep down, they still crave authenticity. Arn Anderson represented authenticity. Even his promos sounded different. Many wrestlers shouted. Arn talked, and somehow, that calm delivery made him even more intimidating. He didn't sound rehearsed. He didn't sound fake. He sounded like a dangerous man explaining exactly what was going to happen next. That's incredibly difficult to fake, even decades later. Modern wrestling fans still watch Arn Anderson promos and feel the realism pouring through the screen. Because authenticity survives generations, many wrestlers become trapped in their era. Arn Anderson transcended his style still works today. In fact, some fans would argue it works even better now because modern wrestling has become so fast and theatrical. Arn reminds people what believable wrestling looks like, and maybe nobody understood Arn Anderson's value more than the wrestlers who shared the ring with him, because working with Arn felt safe. That may sound strange to casual fans, but in wrestling, safety matters enormously. Wrestlers trusted Arn. He protected opponents. He controlled matches. He understood positioning. He understood timing. He understood how to create intensity without losing control. That professionalism made him irreplaceable. And yet, despite all this respect, Arn Anderson rarely received the same spotlight as wrestling's biggest celebrities. That's the strange reality of professional wrestling. Sometimes, the most important people are not the loudest ones. Sometimes the foundation remains invisible while the spotlight shines. Elsewhere, Arn Anderson became the foundation, the backbone, and perhaps nowhere was that more obvious than in tag team wrestling. Arn Anderson was one of wrestling's greatest tag team combinations. Alongside Tully Blanchard, their chemistry felt effortless. No wasted movement, no confusion, no chaos, just precision. They wrestled like two men who genuinely understood violence. Everything they did looked painful. Everything they did looked believable. That's why their matches still hold up today, because great psychology never expires. Modern wrestling fans can still watch Arn and Tully and immediately understand the story being told. That's timeless wrestling, and Arn Anderson became one of its greatest masters. But as the years passed, wrestling continued evolving. New stars arrived, new styles emerged, the business became faster and more athletic, and eventually, injuries started catching up with Arn Anderson. Like they do with almost every wrestler, professional wrestling takes pieces from people: knees, backs, necks, hips. The ring hurts, the travel hurts, the years hurt, and Arn Anderson gave wrestling everything he had. By the late 1990s, his in-ring career was winding down, but even when Arn could no longer wrestle at the same level, the wrestling business still needed him, because knowledge like his cannot be replaced. So Arn evolved: producer, coach, mentor, advisor. Once again, he became the backbone behind the scenes. Arn Anderson helped shape matches, guide younger talent, and improve countless performers. Many wrestlers became better simply because Arn Anderson shared wisdom with them, and most fans never even realized it. That's the strange thing about wrestling's true foundations. The audience notices the fireworks, but not the people. Wiring the building together, Arn Anderson spent decades strengthening wrestling from the shadows, helping stars become icons, helping matches become memorable, helping wrestling feel real. And making wrestling feel real may be the hardest job in the entire industry, especially during the Attitude Era, during wrestling's explosive late 1990s boom period. Larger personalities dominated television: Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Mankind, Triple H, The Undertaker. The business became louder, faster, more chaotic, but even then, WWE still needed experienced wrestling minds backstage. They needed veterans who understood storytelling. Veterans like Arn Anderson, because underneath all the explosions, catchphrases, and massive television ratings, wrestling still depended on structure. Somebody had to understand pacing. Somebody had to understand psychology. Somebody had to understand how to build emotional investment. Arn Anderson understood all of it. That's why his influence quietly spread across multiple generations. Many younger wrestlers who later became stars learned important lessons from Arn: how to slow down, how to sell, how to create tension, how to make audiences care. These details separate good wrestlers from unforgettable ones, and Arn Anderson understood them better than almost anyone, even outside WWE. Arn's reputation remained legendary across WWE, across wrestling locker rooms, across the entire industry. Everybody respected Arn Anderson, not because of politics, not because of fame, not because of championships, because he earned it match by match, year by year. That kind of respect cannot be manufactured. Marketing can create celebrities. Only consistency creates legends. And Arn Anderson was consistent for decades. One of the most fascinating things about Arn's career is how ordinary he looked compared to wrestling's exaggerated superstars. He looked like somebody's uncle, somebody's high school football coach, a mechanic, a factory worker, and somehow that made him even more believable. Fans could imagine Arn Anderson in real fights. He felt grounded, real, authentic. In many ways, Arn Anderson represented what wrestling used to be before the business became dominated by spectacle. He represented grit, hard work, physicality, psychology, the fundamentals, and those fundamentals became increasingly valuable as wrestling evolved, because no matter how flashy wrestling becomes, the core principles never change. Fans still want stories. Fans still want emotion. Fans still want to believe. Arn Anderson understood belief better than almost anyone. That's why his legendary Spinebuster became so iconic. Not because it was flashy, because it looked devastating. Arn delivered the move with such violence and precision that fans genuinely believed matches could end instantly. That's the magic of believable wrestling. You don't need 50 complicated moves. You just need audiences emotionally invested. Arn mastered emotional investment, and perhaps that's why hardcore wrestling fans speak about him with such admiration today, because the deeper fans understand wrestling, the more they appreciate Arn Anderson. Casual viewers may remember the giant stars, but serious wrestling fans remember the men who made Those stars shine brighter. Arn Anderson was one of those men, maybe the greatest example. Without wrestlers like Arn, many legendary careers would not look nearly as legendary, because every great hero needs believable opponents. Every great storyline needs emotional structure. Every wrestling company needs performers who can consistently deliver. Arn Anderson delivered over and over again, without ego, without drama, without demanding constant recognition. That quiet professionalism made him priceless, and maybe that's why his legacy feels even more important today. Modern wrestling fans increasingly recognize the value of wrestlers who understand psychology and realism. As the industry changes, fans have started appreciating the art behind the performance, and Arn Anderson was an artist, not with flashy colors, not with acrobatics, but with tension, timing, emotion, believability, the invisible ingredients that make wrestling truly work. Even today, younger wrestlers still study Arn Anderson matches. They study his pacing, they study his selling, they study his promos, they study how he controlled crowds, because Arn understood something timeless. Wrestling is not about pretending to fight, it's about making people feel something real, and Arn Anderson made people feel danger. That's why his legacy survived. Long after louder personalities faded away, many wrestling stars burned bright for a few years before disappearing. Arn Anderson became permanent, not because he was the biggest celebrity, because he became part of wrestling's foundation, the forgotten backbone of WWE. And maybe the greatest compliment Arn Anderson ever received came from the wrestlers themselves. So many legends speak about him with genuine respect, not performative respect, real respect, because they know how difficult his role truly was. They know how hard it is to make wrestling believable. They know how hard it is to stay consistent. They know how hard it is to help others shine without demanding all the attention yourself. Arn Anderson did all of it for decades, and perhaps that's the ultimate reason his story matters so much. Professional wrestling often celebrates the loudest stars, the biggest personalities, the most marketable faces, but beneath every wrestling empire, there are dependable men quietly holding the structure together. The workers, the teachers, the protectors, the leaders, men who sacrifice recognition so the business itself can survive. Arn Anderson was one of those men, the calm presence behind the chaos, the spinebuster that changed momentum instantly, the dangerous voice that made every promo believable, the mentor guiding younger wrestlers behind the scenes, the enforcer, not because he demanded fear, because he earned respect. And long after brighter spotlights fade away, wrestling will always remember the men who made the business feel real. Men like Arn Anderson, the forgotten backbone of WWE, because without wrestlers like him, wrestling loses its soul. Without wrestlers like Arn Anderson, the giant stars never shine quite as brightly. Without wrestlers like Arn Anderson, the stories stop feeling believable. And without believable emotion, professional wrestling becomes empty spectacle. Arn Anderson prevented that for years, quietly, reliably, masterfully. Not every legend stands in the center of the spotlight. Some legends hold the entire industry together from the shadows. Arn Anderson was one of them, and perhaps that's why true wrestling fans will never forget him, because the deeper you understand wrestling, the more you realize just how important Arn Anderson really was, not just as a wrestler, but as the backbone of an entire generation of professional wrestling.